Brooks and Dunns are breaking up because of Ronnie's terrible diagnosis, which has caused more and more fans to worry after something bad happened at their show in Indianapolis. Dunn has been having a lot of health problems lately. Even though these things have gone wrong, Brooks and Dunn are still important in country music. This part will give you chills. It hurts to say goodbye, but there's something deeply beautiful about how they've chosen to do it, honestly and with grace. Do not leave me until the very end. What Ronnie says in his last letter to fans will stop you in your tracks. Come with me. What took place at the show in Indianapolis? Today is April 3rd. The year is 2025, and the Indianapolis Gainbridge Fieldhouse is absolutely packed with people. A lot of excited and nostalgic fans crowded into the venue, ready for a night of honky-tonk hits, cowboy boots kicking, and that good old Brooks and Dunn magic. You know the type, their music makes you think of good times, doesn't it? The electricity, the lights, and the crowd's roar. Everything was there, but as the night went on, something didn't feel right. The show that began as a high-energy, toe-tapping one slowly turned into something a little more scary. And believe me, no one saw it coming. Let's talk about the video that has been going around TikTok and social media ever since. Everything happened during their encore, which should have felt like the end of the show, right? They got going. This boot-scootin' boogie is getting old, come on. After being off the road for 10 years, Brooks and Dunn is back on the road with a stop plan in Massachusetts. It's pretty much the national anthem of line dance. The crowd was pumped up, singing along, and had their phones up in the air. They were totally into that classic country groove. Then, all of a sudden, Ronnie Dunn came on. It was that Ronnie Dunn. I'm interested, Ronnie. How did you learn that you were going to be a member? I got a message. Takes his or her hand off the mic and tells the crowd to sing it if they know it. People thought at first that he was just letting the fans have fun. You know how artists do that sometimes. Then he takes a step back, points his hand to Kix as if to say, that's it for me, and then he taps his chest a few times. His face told me a lot without me having to say a word. Slowly shaking his head, it looked like he was upset with himself. After that, he waved goodbye and left the stage. There wasn't any drama or fuss, it was just a quiet, sad goodbye in the middle of their biggest hit. What if we told you that one of the most famous country music duos is leaving the stage for good? Plus it's all because of something really sad. That Ronnie Dunn just told us. Is this really the end of Brooks and Dunn? Or does someone not know what's going on? Hold on tight, because the end could break your heart. There were signs that could have been seen if you paid close attention all night, which some fans did. It wasn't just that one time. Early on in the set, Ronnie wasn't as lively as he usually is. He sat down on the stage steps during Rock My World, Little Country Girl. That's not at all like him. I mean, this is the same person who, even in his 60s, used to roll the stage like a pro. But that night, he looked really, really tired. Fans on social media said he looked tired, and some even said they could hear his voice cracking, especially when he sang high notes. And you already know how strong his voice is, right? You know something is wrong when that voice doesn't sound right. One fan wrote, I was hurting. It was clear. It looked like he was having trouble breathing. Reading the comments broke your heart. In true country style, the show did go on. Kix Brooks, thank God, didn't miss a beat. That man really knows how to do his job. As Ronnie quietly left, the music and applause from the crowd kept going with the kicks. Can you picture the stress? He didn't move though. He picked up the pieces and made it to the end of the show. There you have it, decades of working together. As you might expect, the moment led to a lot of discussion. There were a lot of rumors going around. A lot of important questions were asked. Is Ronnie no longer sick? Is this the end for Brooks and Dunn? What's going on? And really, who can blame them? Fans worry when a talent as good as Ronnie walks off stage like that. It's not just the music. It's about the person who did it. The guy whose music played during your road trips, breakups, and outdoor barbecues. That kind of emotional link goes deep. Fans were dying for an answer, so when USA Today finally got a message from their team, they were thrilled. Ronnie wasn't feeling well because he was sick, but the show on Saturday night went as planned, according to the rep. That made things a little less tense. But let's be honest. As people watched the live video or the online video, they knew it wasn't just a sniffle or a cold. In that way of being tired, there is something more going on. Even though it's good to hear that he made it through the next show, it still made a lot of people sad. Because deep down, people are starting to wonder if this is the end of Brooks and Dunn's unforgettable run. One minute you're cheering along to My Maria, and the next you see one of your favorite musicians quietly leave a song like he just doesn't have anything left to give. When someone like Ronnie Dunn says something like that, it hits different people, whose stage appearance has always been so strong and stern. At that very moment, seeing him wave goodbye, tap his chest, and shake his head was like seeing your favorite uncle tell you he can't make it to the dance floor this time. You honor it, but you really feel it. They are both getting more and more attention for their health, especially Ronnie's. People don't just want to know when the next show is. They want to know if there will be another show. Because fans love them more than the songs. No one wants to see a hero go too far and not be able to go back. We've all seen what happens when artists don't pay attention. This could be the start of something new. Perhaps it is time for them to rest, bow, and know that their memory is set in stone. But certainly, this moment will be remembered, no matter what comes next. It was a very human and real moment. Not because Ronnie left, but because he proved that even gods have boundaries. That's fine. Because the most powerful show is the one where the performer says, "I need to stop." Even so, the music keeps going because of the love of a bandmate and the roar of a crowd that gets it. Okay, then. It began with boot scooting and finished with a heavy heart. But it finished with more kindness, respect, and loyalty than anyone thought possible. Isn't that what country music is all about, anyway? Recent health problems for Ronnie Dunn. In the background of all the flash and stage lighting, Ronnie has been facing a lot of health problems for months. Also, it's really a lot. Like a great deal. Do you ever feel like life just won't stop? That's pretty much Ronnie's life these days. He's now 71 years old. That being said, getting back on your feet is also not easy. Here is the tea. Ronnie took a lot of damage back in early March 2025. As in really hard with 2 blows. Not only COVID, but also strep throat at the same time. Really, can you picture that mess? COVID and strep throat at the same time? It was not just a sick day in soup, it was very bad. He had to take almost 2 weeks off from singing to rest his voice. I can only imagine how horrible that must have been for Ronnie, whose whole life is singing and acting. So that they could treat both the infection and the swelling, his doctors gave him medicines and steroids. But the virus still hurt his lungs in a way that didn't go away right away. He was still having trouble breathing until the end of March. He was so honest about it in an interview with Country Music Weekly, "I'm still having some breathing problems from COVID." You could hear the anger in his voice. He wanted to be himself again, but his body wasn't complying yet. As if that wasn't enough for him, let me go back a little. Because Ronnie had major knee replacement surgery in December 2024, just a few months before all that breathing trouble. What do you think happened? Yes, it does sound like something Ronnie Dunn would do. He was skiing at his vacation home in Colorado when he hit his edge on some ice. And tore his ACL all the way. Really, can this guy get a break? He had to have surgery because of that accident. After the surgery, he had a good 8-week recovery time. At first, he couldn't even move, let alone sing as loud as he could. If you know Ronnie, you know that he's stubborn in the best country way. He insisted on staying on schedule for the Reboot 2 tour, even though he was still in physical therapy. It was like he was acting on stage while his knee was healing. His fans even saw that he was supporting himself on stage steps with his right leg, doing whatever he could to keep the show going. Just think about how dedicated they are, okay? But now things get even more difficult. All those bad health events? Without a doubt, they've changed his voice. You know that sound of Ronnie's words. Rich, strong, and easy to spot. Now, though, both vocal coaches and music reviewers can see how much it's changed. People say that he breathes differently now and can't hold those long, powerful notes as well as he used to. That must be very sad for someone whose voice became famous because of how strong it was. What does he have to do? He's changing things about the way songs are put together to make them easier to sing. Sound techs have also been helping out backstage by making changes to the live mixes so he doesn't have to sing as hard. And yes, you may have seen it if you recently went to a show or watched a clip online. There's pressure in songs like Neon Moon and My Maria, which used to be so easy for him to come out with. His work to get through the songs is getting harder now. And really, who could blame him? In the past few months, he's had COVID, strep throat, and knee surgery. Anyone, even someone half his age, would lose their wind after that. Folks are beginning to wonder if Ronnie Dunn is sick now that fans can see and rumors spread quickly. Really sick? What does this mean for Dunn and Brooks going forward? People who work in the field are already talking. People are asking if Ronnie's recent health problems could be a sign that he wants to slow down or even quit completely. Also, it's a good question, right? I mean, you can only push yourself so far before something gives. What bothers me is that Ronnie hasn't made a big deal out of any of this. He hasn't held a sorrow party or called on everyone to feel sorry for him. It's been quiet, but he's been there doing his best to give fans the songs they love. Isn't that kind of pretty? Even though his body is screaming at him to take a break, he keeps trying to be there for the people who have helped him for decades. Ronnie Dunn has always been the strong and quiet one. Fans were shocked when they heard the terrible news about his illness. Could this be why Brooks and Dunn are leaving the stage? For good? What do fans do now that everyone is talking about it? Wait until you hear what's really going on behind the scenes if you think you know everything. Do not turn your head away. See this through to the end to find out how deep it goes. It seemed like the whole country music world stopped for a few hours after Ronnie Dunn abruptly left the stage in Indianapolis. Everyone looked at him. The moment shocked me. He was playing music 1 minute and telling his band in a soft voice that something wasn't right the next. He was gone in an instant. There were times like that when you can't just sit still. It gets around quickly. This is especially true now that everything is online in seconds. And really, who can blame people for being so worried? It's really Ronnie Dunn. He's more than just a country singer. A lot of people listen to his music on road trips, during breakups, at parties, and on Saturday nights. As usual, things went crazy on social media. Not in the messy way you might think. There won't be any drama or rumors. Okay, maybe a little. The flood of love was what stood out. Fans from all over the country, some who had seen the show and some who had only heard about it, rushed to the comments as if they were checking in on a close friend. Brooks and Dunn's official Instagram page changed so that it looked more like a prayer circle than a page for business. It seemed like every post had comments from nice people. It wasn't just one time that people said things like sending love and healing thoughts your way or we hope Ronnie gets better soon. They were everywhere. What do you know? Every word made you feel like it was true. Then there were the longer, more emotional ones. People wrote things like praying for you, Ronnie, which made you stop scrolling and think, wow, people really care about this man. I hope you feel better soon. Someone else wrote, feel better, Ronnie, with about 10 exclamation points and as many emojis as you can fit on a single line. It was clear that this wasn't just about a show or encore that wasn't held. This was about a real bond between people. It seems like a lot of people know Ronnie Dunn. They heard his songs when they were kids. He's been there through the good times and the bad, the heartaches and the healing. That's why this kind of thing hits different. The next part makes me feel even worse. Because people who were at the show started to share their own thoughts and experiences. Though some could tell something wasn't right with Ronnie, they talked about how great the show was. Someone said, you guys were great last night in Indianapolis. It was a dream come true to see you all for the first time. Near the end, it looked like you were sick. I hope you feel better soon. Is that love? That's gratitude wrapped in concern. And it wasn't just a handful of fans saying this. There were dozens echoing the same sentiment. The amount of respect people have for Brooks and Dunn's professionalism, even in a moment of visible struggle, was honestly kind of heartwarming. It showed how deeply fans feel connected to these artists. Not just for the hits, but for their heart. Now, if you thought Instagram was buzzing, wait till you hear what went down on TikTok. That platform blew up. One of the most talked about clips came from radio host Matt Malone, who posted a video capturing Ronnie's emotional exit. In the video, Ronnie encourages the crowd to sing it if you know it, then gestures to his guitarist, almost like saying, I'm done. You've got to take over from here. The video got over 86,000 likes. And quickly became the central hub for all things Ronnie related for the next few days. And I mean, can you imagine being in that crowd watching one of your favorite artists power through only to realize he was in genuine distress the whole time? That kind of stuff sticks with you. What made it even more emotional were the little things like Ronnie tapping his chest, giving a gentle wave, and walking off without any drama. Just a quiet exit, dignified, almost like he didn't want to worry anyone. But of course, that only made people more worried. Another TikTok video showed him sitting on the edge of the stage earlier in the show, visibly uncomfortable. You could see it in his posture, in his movements, he wasn't himself. And just like that, TikTok became a makeshift support group. Hashtags like hashtag pray for Ronnie, hashtag Brooks and Dunn forever, and hashtag Ronnie Strong started popping up with fans swapping theories, encouragement, and updates. But not all the chatter was doom and gloom, thank goodness. In the middle of all the concern, some fans came forward with updates that gave people hope. One person said he played Peoria, Illinois the following night. And absolutely dominated. He's fine. And honestly, that one comment probably saved 1,000 people from spiraling into full-blown panic. Isn't it wild how one little reassurance can shift the energy of a whole conversation? People were just clinging to that news, hoping it meant he was on the mend. Still, that didn't stop the whispers. You had people asking things like, did Brooks and Dunn die? Which, let's be real, was dramatic and clearly not true. Others wondered, is this the end of Brooks and Dunn? Or is Ronnie saying goodbye? I mean, people really went there. But at the heart of it all was a deep, genuine worry for someone they cared about, not just as a performer, but as a person. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from all this. Ronnie Dunn isn't just a name on a marquee. He's someone people feel like they've known for decades. His voice is the soundtrack to so many lives. So when something feels off, even for just a few minutes on stage, it sends ripples, massive ones. And in those ripples, what we saw wasn't hysteria or chaos. It was love, concern, loyalty, the kind that makes people stop whatever they're doing to write a comment, say a prayer, or share a memory. Because that's what Ronnie Dunn means to them. Maybe it was just a bad night. Maybe it was exhaustion or the tail end of an illness. Whatever it was, the outpouring of love proved one thing. Fans will always show up for Ronnie Dunn. And honestly, isn't that beautiful? What's next for Brooks and Dunn? You've probably already seen the headlines, right? Stuff like Brooks and Dunn are saying goodbye after Ronnie's awfully tragic diagnosis. I mean, talk about a heart drop. People were freaking out, thinking this was the end of the road for the iconic country duo. And it's totally understandable. After all, they've been part of the soundtrack to so many people's lives for decades. But before we all spiral into panic mode, let's take a breath. Because thankfully, the real story isn't nearly as grim as it's been made out to be. Actually, it's kind of comforting and in a weird way, it's also a little inspiring. So here's the tea. Ronnie Dunn wasn't doing too hot after their Indianapolis show. And yes, it caused some real concern. Fans noticed something was off. His energy seemed low. His voice wasn't quite hitting the usual sweet spots. And then, boom! He stepped away from the stage. Naturally, people assumed the worst. And honestly, when someone like Ronnie, who's always been so consistent, takes a sudden break, how can fans not worry? But the good news came quickly. And thank goodness for that. Their publicist put out a clear, calming statement to shut down all the swirling rumors. And honestly, we needed that clarity. They said Ronnie's been resting and is doing way better now. And the issue was respiratory related, not life-threatening at all. Doesn't that feel like a weight lifted? I mean, how many of us were holding our breath, thinking the worst? The statement was pretty reassuring too. Apparently, after some proper downtime and treatment, Ronnie's bouncing back just fine. The doctors are happy with his recovery, and most importantly, the man himself is feeling a lot better. Now, is he still on the mend? Yes, but is this some tragic farewell? Absolutely not. Because we do forget sometimes that these legends are human too. They've been grinding for nearly 40 years. 40, that's a whole lifetime for some people. Isn't it kind of incredible they're still out there doing it? Anyway, the best part? The tour isn't going anywhere. The Reboot 2 tour, yes, the one that's got fans pumped all over North America, is still on. No cancellations, no drama, just a couple of legends adjusting things a bit and keeping the music alive. The tour is going strong all the way through November 2025, which is amazing news for anyone who's been planning to catch a show. I mean, can you imagine the heartbreak if they pulled the plug? But no, they're not going out like that. And let's be real. Brooks and Dunn have never been the type to let a little bump in the road slow them down. They've weathered way bigger storms than this is just a pause. A little deep breath before the next big note. Of course, behind the scenes, they're being smart about it. They've made a few thoughtful changes to make sure Ronnie gets what he needs while still giving fans a great show. Like, some of the set lists have been trimmed down just a tad. It's not so much that you'd miss your favorite songs, but enough to give Ronnie those needed breathers. They've also brought in some extra backup vocalists, which honestly adds a whole new layer of harmony. And let's not forget about how they're staging things now. Ronnie gets a bit more space to rest between those high-energy numbers. It's these little tweaks that show just how much they care. Not just about the performance, but about each other too. Isn't that the kind of bond we all want in life? And you know what else? This whole thing kind of makes you admire them even more. Like, instead of hiding it or pretending everything's fine, they owned it. They took care of Ronnie, reassured the fans, made the necessary changes, and just kept moving forward. That's not just professionalism. That's heart. That's the kind of legacy these guys are building. Not just one of hits and sold-out shows, but of resilience, honesty, and pure love for what they do. Isn't that what makes artists like them legends in the first place? So yes, if you were stressed or even heartbroken thinking Brooks and Dunn were saying goodbye forever, you can go ahead and unclench. Ronnie's okay. He's getting better every day. The tour's rolling on. And those boots? Oh, they are definitely still made for walking. Right onto the stage. Spotlight on, guitars blazing. It's not goodbye, it's just a small pause. And when they come back full throttle, it's going to hit even harder. Because if there's one thing Brooks and Dunn have always been about, it's giving fans a damn good show, no matter what. What in the world happened to Brooks and Dunn? 1 minute, they're lighting up the stage like always, and the next, Ronnie's heartbreaking diagnosis has fans in tears and asking if this is the end for good. But before you assume it's all over, stick around because the truth behind what's next for them might just surprise you in the best or worst way possible. Future of Brooks and Dunn today. You'd think that after decades in the country music game, like literal decades of hits, tours and awards, these two legends might be thinking of slowing down, right? Like maybe buying a ranch in Montana and just chilling with guitars and whiskey on a porch somewhere. Well, surprise, surprise, not even close. Word on the street, and by street, I mean some very trusted industry insiders, is that Brooks and Dunn are not hanging up their hats anytime soon. No. In fact, they just renewed their recording contract. Can you believe that? At this stage in their career, when most folks are thinking about retirement plans and rocking chairs, these two are doubling down on the very thing that made them legends in the first place, the music. Now let's talk about Ronnie Dunn for a sec, because his name's been buzzing lately, and not for the reasons fans were hoping. If you've heard whispers like, is Ronnie Dunn sick? Well, yes, that question's been floating around, and unfortunately, it's true. He's been battling a few health issues. But here's the part that really tugs at your heart. The man has still been showing up. He's been pushing through, probably when most people would have just called it quits for the day. One insider, someone super close to the duo, even said, Ronnie just needs to pace himself. And honestly, that makes sense. He's not in his 30s anymore. He's in his 70s and performing night after night. That's not a walk in the park. No matter how many years of experience you've got under your belt. But you know what? Even with all that going on, these guys aren't pulling the plug. Not even close. All those rumors flying around about some kind of farewell tour? Totally unfounded. Like, where did that even come from? Maybe people saw Ronnie taking it a bit slower. Or maybe the incident in Indianapolis made fans worry more than they needed to. And sure, that moment was a bit of a wake-up call. It reminded everyone that, being on stage under all those lights, in front of thousands of people, with adrenaline pumping and music blasting, that takes a toll, especially when your body's not bouncing back like it used to. But here's the thing. Neither Ronnie nor Kix is ready to say goodbye. They're just being smarter about how they do things now. Less about burning themselves out. More about pacing it all in a way that keeps them and their fans happy and healthy. And let's be real for a second. Can you blame Ronnie for not wanting to let people down? That kind of loyalty to fans? It's rare. He could easily take a step back, disappear for a bit, and people would still love him. But no, he keeps showing up. He keeps singing. He keeps giving his all, even when his body might be saying, hey, maybe take a break. That kind of commitment? That's not just professionalism. That's heart. That's someone who truly loves what he does and knows how much it means to the people who followed Brooks and Dunn from the very beginning, from the boot scootin' boogie days to now. So, what's the plan going forward? Honestly, it looks like more music, more shows, and more memories. Just maybe with a slightly more mindful pace. And you know what? That's okay. Actually, it's more than okay. It's admirable. Because who says legends have to go out with one final bang? Maybe they just keep going. Maybe they just keep showing up, song after song, tour after tour, moment after moment. Because they love it. And because their fans still show up too, year after year. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.